Welcome to the Board of Supervisors. Please stand and join us in the pledge. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On last week's closed session under 54956.9, we had a conference with labor negotiators with SEIU, DSA, and CCPSCA with the Director of Human Resources. There resulted in no action taken. We also had a closed session on 54956.9C, a conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation, one case, and there was no action taken. I'd like to move to the consent agenda. If any member of the staff, board, or public would like to pull a consent agenda item, please let me know.
I'd like to pull 4 and 5, please.
Okay, any others?
I'll move the balance, Madam.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes on a 5-0 vote of the board. Item number 3.
Good morning. I was just wondering, Bonnie Newman from Devil Springs, I was just wondering, it sounds like we're recycling old oil, and the Department of Resources and Recycling is taking it. Are we paying them to take the oil? Are they paying us for our used oil, if that's what it is? And are we talking tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars? How much?
We're talking $15,000 in grants. Mr. Garcia, do you want to explain to her?
This is a renamed version of the annual oil recycling grant program. It's no longer called a grant program. Now it's a payment program. It's pretty much the same thing we've been doing every year, receiving money from the state for our recycled oil program. But instead of calling it a grant, now it's a payment program. That's pretty much the only difference.
And the net outcome here is that we have these days that are designated in different parts of the county for people to bring their oil in rather than throw it out in their gutter or in the forest or in streams. That's the goal here, is to give people an opportunity without having to pay for it to deposit their oil for recycling.
We pay for the recycling events. We also pay for education materials, telling people not to dump in the streams, things like that. Yes, it funds a part of our public outreach.
And this is the ones that are at gas stations and Ebbets Pass and all that, where car places.
I'd have to defer to Cindy on where she actually expends these funds, but I can only assume
Well,
it's
there's
for...
2 places I go, and both places have the recycling centers there for oil. Okay, thank you.
Don't go away.
Just a second. Bonnie, does that answer your question? Thank you. May I have a motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes on a 5 vote. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, I pulled item 4 pretty much in acknowledgement of Supervisor Tryon's comments last week that on these trucking things that we need to see a spread on how the bids came in.
And Terry
It's
Jordan,
like the same thing that was on last week. I mean, I haven't
it is.
Different.
I've got a copy of the bids, but the board packet was already submitted, and we didn't know how to get it to you. Like I got it here.
If you'd like to
we
read
have
what the
5
bids are.
copies.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can just read it out.
Brad Sutton Trucking came in at $95 an hour. C&D Trucking came in at $97 an hour. And Mancata Construction came in at $88 an hour, but he wasn't a licensed broker. He wasn't qualified to submit a bid.
If they're not qualified to submit a bid, why are they submitting a bid? Out of
I can
curiosity?
have that answer.
A lot
was
of
in the
work goes
process
into
of getting
submitting a
license.
bid, and if you're not even qualified off the get-go, why are they doing that?
I believe this is a situation in which he had hoped to have received it if the application
I
was
see.
in. He had hoped by the time the
Okay.
decision was made that he would be qualified, but
Okay,
it did
that would
not turn
explain
out
it.
that way.
Okay.
Again, the staff report was completed before we received the comments on including the other bids. We are doing
Why
that
did
now.
this come back again this week when we approved?
This is Prop 1B.
This is one.
This is
Thomas.
different than
Right.
what we approved last week?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but the price is the same?
Yes.
Same bid price, okay.
Any other questions, Russ?
No, but I was on a project yesterday and saw Mr. Sutton's trucks hauling material, so that's a good thing. I just want to have this board at least begin to acknowledge some of the pleas that we've been hearing lately about being prudent in these decisions and transparent in them. So thanks for bringing that information in. I move the approval of this item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes on a 5-0. Thank you.
Okay,
The next one?
On this next one, I really cannot vote to approve this without more background. This is $379,616 that we're proposing to spend for a brand new tractor without anything in the staff report to tell me so that I can make the decision based on factual information about. It says that the tractor that we're using now is nearing or beyond its useful life, but I don't have any of the facts. What year is it? How many hours per year does it run? How much longer would it last? I'm particularly concerned because we just got a report from our assessor that our expectations on revenue are going to go down almost the same amount as this tractor. Now, I recognize that there is a staff report here that says that this money is coming from the solid waste fund and not from the general fund, but I'm hearing footsteps on the solid waste fund that things are going to change there too. So I would like to be able to support this, but without more information, I can't. I do want to point out to you that I did a little bit of searching around on the internet, and in 10 minutes found out that there is a tractor exactly with these same specifications, maybe better, with 500 hours on it, sitting in San Leandro at Peterson Tractor, and the asking price is $285,000. So my strong recommendation is that this board take a fiscally responsible look at this and see what our options might be. I just really can't in all conscience approve this seemingly lavish expenditure at this particular time when we seem to be telling people that we're in a crisis in our budget. So I'd appreciate hearing your response.
This dozer is 1999. It has 10,800 hours. It currently is not functional. It broke earlier this year. The cost of repair was more than the cost of for the extended life of the unit because, again, carb requirements as well. We're going to be required to surplus one of the two dozers we have out at the landfill site. It's imperative that we do have the dozers at the landfill site. If we don't have a functional dozer, we don't.
Could you speak up, please, Mr.
I'm sorry. If we don't have a functional dozer, then we don't operate the landfill. This dozer, we received a higher bid for scrap value than we did for the surplus. So we got a little over $3,000 for scrap value. It's really at the end of its useful life. It is broken. It's not working, and it costs more to repair it than it is warranted. We have been striving to replace our fleet, our equipment fleet, so that we aren't saddled with these old pieces of equipment that we can only sell for scrap. What we'd like to be able to do is sell them while there's still some useful life and recoup those funds back into either our funding unit, or if it's not a general fund unit. As for the unit in San Leandro, I'm not aware of that. If it is a new unit that still has useful life under CARB requirements, then that's something we could look into. This unit that we're looking at now for $379,000 is new. It came in under the budgeted amount of $385,000, and it is critical for us to be able to have this piece of equipment available to the landfill so that we can continue operations.
Mr. Olinsky, you had?
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I do recognize the need to replace dead equipment and maintain function. So that argument has been well made, and I have no problem with it. I do share Russ's concern, however, that buying new equipment when there is a huge amount of available stuff in the private sector being unloaded, some of it which is local. I mean, we have boneyards of equipment from the logging industry that is all over my district, and people are selling it at very low prices. I don't, some of that has a lot of hours on it, but there are things that are available, as this one piece here indicates, at considerably less money. I know that we have always looked at these funds as different, but if we're in deficit, I wanted to ask this question. If the solid waste fund is not adequate to meet the needs, is there potential that we would need to spend general fund money to shore that up? Is there some? I know there's possibilities of moving things the other way, but is this something that is possible? And if it is, wouldn't that, for those concerned in the general fund, be reason enough to be doing the cheapest possible thing, provided that we get the equipment necessary to do the job in a quality and hours situation that doesn't become a liability itself?
We can look at used equipment if that is the direction of the board. We have been steering away from that because we don't know what we're buying. In the past, when we have purchased used equipment, we now have a fleet of snowplows that date back to the 80s that we can't buy parts for anymore. That's one of the problems on the existing unit that is broken that we're trying to surplus, is the parts are no longer available for that. We have to buy them used. So it's if in order to save costs up front and buy a used unit and possibly have a higher maintenance cost, we can look at that.
I guess what I would, we have just been having conversations about analyzing our fleet and not spending more on maintenance than it would cost in payments for new or almost new vehicles. Do we have the capability? I see we have a marvelous mechanic in the room. Do we have the capability? Let's say this item that saves $100,000 is available to take a look at. Do we have the in-house capability of analyzing whether this would or would not be a savings, given a comprehensive analysis of the condition of it and the potential costs of repairs?
Just going back just from what I heard.
Your name is?
My name is Rogelio Espejel. I'm the fleet manager for the county. The money that we're being spent in the long run is going to save money, because if we go buy used, we're going to spend $200,000 now, and in 5 years we're going to have to spend another $200,000. We spend these $379, it's going to put us out 13 years from now to make another purchase for the landfill.
How do we know this without looking at the use and the wear on the vehicle? Can we analyze one and know what its
What we
condition
currently
is?
have right now is a 1999 D6, and it has 10,000 hours.
Okay, I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about a potential, but taking a look at this, we know nothing about it except the price and a picture.
But it has
But you, being our fleet manager, might take a look at something like this, know the number of hours, take a look at it, and determine whether it's been hard use or not, and get some idea of whether it's a net projected savings or not. Am I correct?
Right. And what we did when we built this one, it's spec'd out to meet the landfill needs with the liners. If you put on there something too heavy, it's going to break through the liners. So if we go buy something used, it may be too heavy for the liners, and it may not have everything that it needs to do the job.
How many hours on average would this piece of equipment be used?
Well, it takes about 1,000 hours every year.
But this unit has 500 hours on it. You know, this unit, the one that was $100,000 less, that's 500 hours on it, and it's in San Leandro.
And it's a 2009, so it's not an old...
But it's a Tier 1 engine, so come a couple years, we're going to have to do something, retrofit it with the filter or do something else. And that's where you're getting into, do you buy new or do you just buy something that comes already from factory spec'd out to do its job?
So at a 2009 year, it's a Tier 1 engine?
Well, it depends on the family. If it was a 2008, maybe a Tier 2. But in 2015, we're going to have to do something to our whole fleet. So we're just looking forward, and, we're trying to plan out ahead so the county's not spending millions of dollars in 1 year.
I think the question is are we looking at used equipment that serves our purpose, that would have a long life? Because as Steve said, there's a lot of it out there at this point versus just buying new.
Yes, we did that. I spent some time with Ted from Holt, and he looked around on something that would work out with us, and he found something, but it was, 95 is the newest he found that would fit the needs of the landfill.
We can look at this unit to see if the specs match what our needs are. Do you have that information? Could we?
Yeah. Would it be possible to come back next week, table this and move it to the next meeting and have a chance to really look at whether this meets our needs or not? With 500 hours and 100,000 savings, and maybe there's more money, who knows? But I'd sure like to see some analysis, and not just this, but anything else you might be able to take a look at between now and next week.
We can do that and come back to it. I mean, we can, break down this one, get the actual specs of it.
That will be an addendum to the agenda.
We can just
how about 2 weeks? Yeah, we could continue. I was proposing continue.
We don't have to do it.
Rojo, I appreciate everything that you're trying to do. I really, really do. But I'm just trying to put this in perspective, like my own household budget. I mean, I know that the used cars that I'm driving are costing me a lot of money, but I just flat can't afford to buy a new one. And I'm nursing them along, and it's working fine. This unit, you said that you run them 1,000 hours a year. This unit right here is essentially 6 months old then. Has 500 hours on it. I don't think that we can afford at this particular moment in time to spend $100,000 more than this unit appears to be. I think it's a bargain, at least on the surface of what I'm seeing, compared to the brand new piece of equipment.
Okay.
So, we'll go back and look at it and get the actual specs of this piece of equipment. And then if we have to add some stuff to this one to make it work, we'll look at the cost difference, and then we'll bring it back to you guys.
All right.
Okay, I have a couple questions, too, on this. Number one, if we buy new, I'm assuming then we have a fairly good warranty that goes with it. And if we buy used, I'm assuming we do not.
Right.
And so I think if you're going to bring...
This is with 500 hours on it. This thing would have warranty remaining.
Well, you'll have to check.
But it's like a car. If it's used, it's used. It doesn't matter how many miles.
Well, no.
Let's just look at all the things.
Let me finish my comments. The second is you mentioned down here that it will be serviced by Holt. Is there a service contract that comes with the new tractor versus a used tractor?
Yes.
Okay. In Holt's in Sacramento, I don't know where Peterson's located. San Leandro. Are we able to negotiate a better service contract with Holt by buying a new piece of equipment from them than we are by buying a used piece of equipment from some other dealer?
Well, I'll take a look at all that and bring it back next week.
Okay. Okay. And what is the cost to the landfill, thirdly, when the tractor goes down? I mean, Tom basically said that, we need this to operate the landfill. Do we have backup tractors? So if one goes down and needs to be worked on for 30 days or something, or do we have to run to Holt and
We have to go rent one.
we have to go rent one?
Yeah.
And what's the cost of renting one?
The last time we priced one out was $12 grand a month.
$12,000 a month?
Yeah.
So if we have to go rent one, because we don't have a backup.
Right.
We do have a backup, but our operations, now that we're moving into closing a cell, require the use of 2 tractors.
Wait, say that again, Tom?
We do have one backup, but the operations of the landfill, now that we're moving into the closure of a cell, require the use of 2.
Okay, so we have costs associated there.
The one we had as a backup is no longer a backup. So it was a 1990, and when it went down, it was $12 grand to get it fixed. And the trading value, they said it'd give us $3 grand for it.
Okay.
And that was
Okay,
with
well,
used
I'll
parts
just give
to
you
fix
my
it, so.
final comment is, often items that are big ticket items out of Public Works, whether it be a grader for the road department or a bulldozer for solid waste, as we're discussing today, gets pulled and people and board members say, well, geez, there's got to be a cheaper way to do this. I, for one, like the concept of buying new, having a warranty, having a service contract with a reputable dealer that's close at hand, and then run that piece of equipment until it absolutely needs to be replaced. I'm very comfortable with that. Maybe it's because I'm not mechanically oriented in any way, and I know so I don't do any of my own work, and I know that when I go into the shop, it can cost me a fortune to get things fixed. And I think warranties are valuable. I think service contracts on big pieces of equipment like this are valuable. They're absolutely critical to our operation. Downtime is extremely expensive to us, and then not only do you have to pay for the $12,000 a month for a replacement, you have to pay to get the piece of equipment fixed. And I know from what few friends I have that have significant pieces of equipment, getting them fixed is not cheap either, either in parts or labor. So unless somebody can demonstrate a very significant savings, I will stick with my position of where possible, let's buy new equipment for both the roads and for solid waste.
Steve?
I just wanted to add one thing, just in case there's any misinterpretations going on. What I think, and the reason I'm raising this right now, is that we have an excellent fleet manager before us, Rojo, today, who's capable of analyzing this and in all its complexity, better than any of us up here. And what we're asking is that he check these things out, get back to us, and I am sure that we will have faith in that answer. But to analyze it is what we're asking, to do some comparative shopping and come back with a fully scoped set of choices with a recommendation. And I know you're going to do great at it.
May I have a motion to move this item out?
One other comment. The estimate was given that it might cost as much as $12,000 a month to rent a piece of equipment. Having negotiated purchases similar to this in my past career, what I would do is call Mr. Sager, tell him that you're interested in looking at this piece of equipment. You'd like to lease it. Tell them you want to lease it for $5,000 a month, and the purchase or the lease price would go toward the purchase price if you want to exercise your option to buy it. He would jump at that. You offer him $250,000. Let's get creative here and try to save the taxpayers of this county some money.
Like I said, I'll look at everything and bring it back to you guys next week. I know just from looking at it, we still have to add landfill guards and who else on the undercarriage, so all the trash doesn't go underneath it. We may add all that. So that's going to be cost to the county. So like I said, I'll go back, I'll give this guy a call, and we'll bring them both back up, and we'll see which way is the best.
This lists a crankcase guard on this piece of equipment. So,
Without standard, but it doesn't have full belly.
okay, well, just please bring
Okay,
us back.
we've asked him, we've given him direction. We're going to bring this back next week.
Mr. Caldwell had
Discussion.
a comment.
Mr. Tuffanelli, do you have a question?
Well, I had a question, and I know Gary did.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Thank you.
If we ordered the new one, what's the time frame before delivery? From the
Tentel said it would minimum 2 to 3 months. He'd have to turn around.
60 to 90 days.
Right.
Thank you.
So we're going to have to rent one?
We're not currently renting one right now, but what we don't want is rent one, so we're trying to move this forward.
When we move into our closure, that we don't want to rent a dozer while we're doing our closure. We'll need two available at that time. If we come back next week, we'll still have a window of opportunity to get this one on board, or another one if that's the choice.
Okay, thank you.
Gary Caldwell, Valley Springs. I can understand the concern of the board members, and given the state of the economy, I too agree that there's got to be some equipment out there that contractors want to get rid of, including dealers such as Peterson. And as was pointed out by Supervisor Thomas, you can negotiate deals where you can have the equipment rental rate be applied to the purchase price. You know, these can be arranged for. And the other question with regard to how much time it's going to be used, I'm sure the board remembers the grand jury report where the department was criticized for non-use of equipment. And let me just say that it says here in the grand jury report that they only use the equipment 11% of the working hours, and it says the equipment has been purchased the past few years that appears to have received little use. And I can understand the concern about how much use is going to be made of it. Now, this is probably road equipment and maybe not solid waste equipment. But the other thing, because I'm a frugal person too, I would be shopping around doing somebody said comparison shopping. What amazes me is that the Board of Supervisors has to bring this up, that staff has not already taken it upon itself to shop around and do the obvious. Let's see if we can find this cheaper than $380,000. That's what's amazing to me, is that, and that you have to do make the suggestions and recommendations to staff that they do what appears to me to be the obvious thing, is that when you can get a piece of equipment at this magnitude of price cheaper, especially by $100,000 by just accessing the internet, that's amazing. And I think that the board ought to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
Well, Gary, let me just respond to that. I don't know that you are accurate in your assumption they didn't shop around. They had a set of criteria that they were looking for a piece of equipment. Fleet manager said basically he did shop around. And so, you know, all this criticism is great. I mean, it's just great to come up here and politically grandstand, as often happens. Like I said, when we have a significant purchase, whether it be a grader or a bulldozer. I remember one was a water truck for $150,000 or the like. But, you know, we get something that doesn't work. We put a lot of maintenance cost into it. There's no political grandstanding because that doesn't come back. It's just easy to grandstand on the front end. But you look at the rear end, and there's no further accountability. So it's very easy to stand up here politically like you do, or the board often does. And I'm not just referring to this purchase, but to other purchases of like magnitude, and making these assumptions that they didn't shop around, they did it with blinders on, and all this stuff. I don't think there's any accuracy in that, and I don't think you have any basis in which to make those statements.
Okay, I have a motion that I made, which I can't, but I'll accept. I just want to move this out 1 week.
I'll second that.
Russ made the motion.
I made the motion.
Yes. And I'll second
All
that.
in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I'd like to move to public comments. Does anyone have anything they'd like to address not on the agenda? You have 5 minutes.
My name is Mike Peters. I'm here this morning because I have another commitment. I won't be able to be in the study session this afternoon for the when you guys are going to be talking about your joint powers agreement with the COG organization. I'm the vice chairman of a committee that was put together by Supervisor Topanelli, and I thought it was important that you guys know that since that committee's been put together, we've spent approximately a month updating the Valley Springs Community Plan, and we have our draft done. It is going out to the public today. And